This your jacket nice, oh.
It be Marks and Spencer. Okay, you say be villager, you know.
Now China get
then left. Then China didn't did, but then left.
So China get things like that. I'm asking from like for my people outside.
Oh yeah. You don't know where you could get quality. It be people they know the way you do it and they figure.
Now the question, if you say China get Marks and Spencer, it'd be wrong question. The question be what China no get.
Yep.
No, they asked for somebody.
Yeah, be at the talk. At the end of the day, the question for be what they no get.
Yep.
Every Western brand they here, cause that be.
Hey, so where are you these days? I mean, China. Hey, China too. What are you doing in China?
Too. Yeah, we dey roll.
They say.
I mean, the point it be the narrative, right? Yeah. Then sell to you or say, then be backwards, then be whatever. But then it be all about, it be enviness, then it be jealousy. Cause
that one there be fine.
You see your neighbor say they build skyscrapers, how you go feel about
it? You go doubt them.
You know, go doubt stuff. You go think this and wish like some big wind, big blow them. It be how human beings we did. You see somebody they progress at. It be enviness. You know, for people when they come in the city with them eyes, them more they go do what? Testify. You pop Douyin and things that channels, them more data. More of this American.
Danny come here several times. Figure say mentality be the same now.
No.
Oh yeah. So Douyin, I think we all know Douyin, right?
Yeah.
Can somebody give us
Douyin?
A context to that name.
Just mean TikTok.
Yeah,
it's actually the mother name for TikTok. It actually is a Chinese app, so it started in China as Douyin, and then the English version is TikTok, which they sent all around the world.
All right, so yeah, the context being Douyin is the local Chinese version for TikTok. So globally, everybody knows it's at TikTok, but in China it's Douyin. Are there any differences? Let's start off by, are there any differences? What are the differences between Douyin compared to TikTok overseas?
Well, I think that they're the same company, but they just allow different content.
Okay. Right. Or offer different services, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give us like, I don't know, can you kind of like break that down? When you say offer different services or different content?
Well, it's often been said that the kind of content you see on the Chinese version is usually different from what you see on the international version. And also, if you live in China and have a Chinese phone number, you can't install the foreign version. You can only install the Chinese one. Unless you take your SIM card out, then you can connect to the. So anyone who is in China, if you have as long as you have a Chinese phone number, it doesn't allow you to download to use a foreign version.
Okay. Yeah. So is that really like necessarily a good thing? I mean, why is it not that you can easily download the TikTok original, I mean, not original, but the Western version and use it in China?
I think it has to do with, first and foremost, the contract those two companies signed before selling it out to the Western world. And secondly, it is the Chinese way of managing what content comes into their hood.
Yeah.
For lack of word. Yeah. So that's the difference. That's the difference. And I'm not really on Douyin, as in the Chinese one, and I'm also not on TikTok. But people like it, so.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, we've all followed the news, right? TikTok is being banned, or not banned. I think it's more like regulated if you think about it, because they're not saying they're gonna ban.
Yeah. They want it to be sold to.
They want the whatever rights or those kind of like. Shares or whatever it is, right? So that the West can keep their own data of their citizens on their soil.
Okay.
Because the fear is that they scare Chinese.
There's rumors that they take in data, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a rumor. There is no evidence to it.
Yeah.
But then I think there is this, it's always like, backdoor, like, echoes about Chinese taking the American citizenry's data to use it for what I don't even know whatever they're gonna use it. I don't know. We don't really know what goes on with those kind of stuff. So I don't want us to just speculate and talk about things we don't know about. But let's look at the differences between Douyin and TikTok. That's more of an interest to me, because it is interesting, because my brother called me from the States, right, from America, and he asked me like a very interesting question. He's like, he understands. I mean, we all watched that video at the Senate, right? Yeah. The guy was getting questioned about the differences between Douyin and TikTok. And we're here, so we know about it, right?
Yeah.
Content here are very limited. I mean, we can say censored, so to speak. Whilst in the States or in the West, it's kind of like an open game.
Open game, yeah.
Right? You can just put anything on, and as long as it's not really anything of a violent nature, I guess it's okay. So with those differences, do you think it makes sense to censor some of the stuff? Example, like girls twerking and like, you know, people just using those kind of stuff to either get likes or followers and stuff. I mean, like on a morality level, what do you think?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
So the question is the difference or what?
Yeah, the difference in content. Do you think it makes sense to have a censored one like Douyin, or it's you like the open
I think I'll go first.
You go first.
I think
you go first.
internet freedom and freedom in general is something that I usually admire and support. But I also feel that when it comes to things that involve the internet, the open free internet, and national development or national sanity, I think that sometimes it is necessary to regulate or to manage certain apps or how certain services operate. Because if you make it too open, let's not forget, this is an entertainment platform. And once it comes to entertainment, there are so many different characters within any country. People would like to use it to satisfy their own personal or selfish needs. And then what happens is if there's some kind of regulation, it's going to go out of hand. Because as much as these platforms are for entertainment purposes, they can also be used for all kinds of, all kinds of, they also have all kinds of uses. So if a certain character thinks that this is how I want to use the app to like you rightly mentioned, to twerk, to teach all kinds of nonsense on the internet. Let's not forget the audience is big as well. We have young people, we have people that the government is spending so much time to teach morals and all that. So if these things are not regulated in some way, then it's going to get out of hand and people will use the platform to achieve just anything they want to achieve.
Okay. But I mean, I just want us to go talk about the ban and everything, because we don't really know what the motives are behind all that, you know, brouhaha going on over in the West or in the States, to be specific. I just want us to talk about, you know, the service part of it. So in this case, when you say, you know, freedom of the internet, right? Does freedom necessarily mean like anything goes? Because in by definition, it's like freedom is what the free will to do whatever it is you want. But then again, you mentioned about you think it should be regulated. So when it gets regulated, does that really mean it's a free space?
My understanding of freedom is the free will to do something within a certain set of rules. So if they say don't go here, it means you can move from here to there, but you can't go beyond that. Your freedom only ends there. So freedom doesn't mean that you have total freedom to do whatever you want without any rules. Freedom, I believe, means being free within the rules.
It's more like it's doing what you ought to or what you should do, but not what you want to do.
What you want to do, exactly.
But I think this is what some people would describe as censorship. Because if you say something is free, then again you start regulating it, then it means you censoring what comes in and what goes out. And that it kind of goes against the definition of what freedom is. So how do we make that work? How do you give people a free space to do whatever they want? Right? Express themselves free. We're talking about doing TikTok. Express themselves freely, have fun on there, promote their businesses, because some people use them for businesses. And also saying you're going to regulate it. How do you say this is okay, but this is not okay? He said this, that is fine, but he said that, but that is not okay. How do we kind of like, you know?
You talked about freedom, yeah. I do believe nobody is free.
Really free in that sense.
Really free in that sense. Because if we are using freedom as it looks, then nobody should control anything, right? You should not censor anything, yeah? I believe that the way so let's take TikTok, or Douyin. If you don't regulate stuff, people have their motives.
Yeah.
So you need the need should be there, because what you want to see, I may not want to see that. You understand? So in a way, there should be a room where you can say, okay, this is how far this can go, this is how far this can go, this is how far this can go. Without that, then
open game.
Open gates. Not even open gate, because we talk a little bit about these issues. We should, when we talk about freedom, then we should move around without anybody stopping you from entering somebody's country or whatever.
Right.
So that alone should tell you anything that comes up, whether it's from the net, especially with Douyin and TikTok, there should be some
policies,
policies that protects people that come on there, because individually we have things that trigger our emotions. You understand? But I go there, maybe I like to laugh, I go to search for comedy, and then I go to see people making up. That is not what I want to see. You understand? My kids want to go on that platform to learn, but then somebody goes, and you understand. So when you look at all these things, there should be some management in there.
Right.
All right, the echoes I'm hearing from both of you is pretty much you offer regulation
Yeah.
to a certain limit.
Yeah.
So in this case, you guys are in favor of Douyin rather than TikTok.
I think so. I think that
Because there's a lot of
For me, it's
censorship.
a big yes.
There's a lot of censorship
For me, it's a big yes.
because even if you look at the regulation, we're also talking about how people earn from these apps, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the international one, there are people who have actually quit their jobs just to do TikTok because they earn more than their regular jobs.
Yeah.
If we're going to allow this to continue unregulated, what is going to happen? Even people who are into very essential jobs that help the society, if they think they have a skill or they can share their skill on TikTok and make more money, they're going to quit these jobs. Assume a medical doctor is good at, say, dancing, and he thinks that he has a part-time TikTok channel, and he thinks that he can make 10 times what he makes every month working in the hospital on TikTok. He's just going to quit his job as a doctor, stay at home and do 2-3 videos a day and make millions. It's going to affect the whole society. That's just an example. So I think that when we're talking about regulation, it's not just the content that is on there, but also looking at it from the angle of the benefits of the app as well. If it's not regulated in some way, then we're going to lose essential part of health, the workforce to these channels.
We're on that part already. We're already on that part, because I listen to podcasters and people who do this Douyin and you can tell, like, people are kind of shifting away from the traditional type of work,
right?
Because if I go
and
online,
and by extension YouTube and all these ones,
I go online and do whatever I want to do within 2-3 hours. If I get the numbers with time, I get the numbers within 2-3 hours. You are making more than you will make a year in
your regular
your regular job. So to some extent, I do agree we need to control. For me, I'm coming from the negative side of content. You understand? That is where I do agree that things should be controlled. If people want to create their job on the internet, then so be it.
I think you're trying to say that if someone is providing a very essential service on the app, and they're earning millions, that's because at the end of the day, they're earning, but they are also contributing to society. Right.
Good. But if this is where the regulation, I feel the regulation is important. If the content does not provide any source of entertainment or uplifting or any other thing, but it damages, right? Then it shouldn't be there. It should be controlled.
Right.
You understand? It should be. When I don't want to give examples, but we all know what we are all talking about here, that there are certain things on the internet, it shouldn't be there.
But I think it's a more nuanced and a bit more complicated than we think. But let me give you something that's going to make the conversation, I don't know, we're going to kind of like spin it off in a different direction. Now, on March 1st, that was last year, I think it was last year, TikTok announced that it's setting a 60-minute default time limit per day for users under 18 years old. But that kind of same system they were trying to implement, Douyin, the local Chinese app, started doing that back in 2018. So I remember that there was like an interview on CNN, Piers Morgan, and then I think there was a guy who lived in China for, I don't know, about 20 years, and he was sharing his experience. And he said, look, in China, this is what the company does. And they did not do it out of their own, you know, what do you call it? Free will, like out of their own goodwill. It was pressure from the government that, listen, we do not want you to take our kids for a ride just to make money. So put like, you know, a time limit. So they had this instance where you need a parental control. You get on the app, a parent has to fill the, what you call it, the questionnaire or whatever out. Because at the end of the day, parents also bear some responsibility, right? Because if it's up to a kid, of course they can lie about their age. People cheat on age all the time, and the app would not notice. So parents had to do that for the kids. There was like a 45-minute timer on there. After that, the program just shuts off per day, 45 minutes. So this guy was trying to explain that to the host, Piers Morgan, on CNN, and there was this panelist who was trying to ask Piers, oh, so it looks like now you're trying to let us, or you're trying to ask us to enforce communist, you know, ideas and governance into America. And he was like, no, this is why I framed my question really clearly. If some things are helpful to our kids, which other countries have tried, it's got nothing to do with their, you know,
it doesn't matter where it's
their style of governance or
Yeah.
whatever. If it's a good thing and it's helping their kids in society, is it a bad thing to really emulate, to learn from countries such as China? Just because they're communist government, does it really mean we should not even kind of draw inspiration from something they're doing if it works and we can see clearly that it's working?
Right. I also saw another interview somewhere, I don't remember, it was a long time ago, where someone was trying to compare the two and said even the content that is allowed on the Chinese TikTok,
Douyin,
Douyin, it's usually something that is educative. There are more educative content and fun, just short fun videos or education for people. Teaching people how to fix something or what could go bad if you do this. But if you look at the TikTok version, which is more open, you find people doing all kinds of funny stuff that don't really contribute anything to society. So if you think of that, then you would think that the Douyin policy kind of makes sense because then the platform is not just for stupid in quotes stuff, but
you know when you log in, you need to provide something. You know, like,
and so people go there to do serious stuff. And like I was mentioning about the earnings, right? I think the TikTok version, people earn more there than the Chinese version. So in China, they're not making it look like an alternative source of income, but it's just an entertainment platform that if you are serious, you can earn some money, but it doesn't necessarily make you a billionaire overnight, unlike the foreign one. So like we said before, with the TikTok, people are actually quitting jobs and doing everything on TikTok just to make money. Whereas here, people still have their regular lives, but they have accounts where they can...
Yeah, but they do promote their businesses.
Exactly. I was about to say,
there are a lot of fun stuff
a lot, like people sell their stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fun stuff on there to people live stream and stuff like that. But the question I was trying to ask is it necessarily a bad thing if you don't like somebody's style, let's say style of governance? Is it a bad thing to kind of learn something from such a people?
It is not a bad thing. It is only
place, as long as you said it's beneficial.
For the lack of word, it's only a fool who doesn't learn from people's experiences. You understand? You have to listen. Nothing is perfect in this world. It was the Chinese who came up with this TikTok thing. It started way before it got to the West. It was because of COVID.
In the beginning, nobody took it seriously
because we can all say there have been so many apps here that we use or we've used before or we've heard about it that even the Western world don't have.
Let me. You know what's funny? When I got my OnePlus phone, maybe 2016 or 2017, it came with TikTok.
Yeah.
I saw it, but I didn't even know what it was. I just deleted it because
yes.
I was like, "What is this thing?"
There's so many apps on our
before it started becoming popular.
Yes. So, and this is where you can help yourself but chip a little praise on how they've been able to manage that platform. You understand?
Yeah.
And this is not us saying they don't have flaws or there are no flaws in there, but they've been able to manage it. Where within, like, a video might pop up where like it goes viral within the country, and then within some few seconds or some few hours it is gone, because they feel the content is not good for consumption. But in the Western world, they leave it there.
Yeah, but that's what I say. It comes back to the story that my brother was talking about. He was like, there's a lot of, like, stories going around about Douyin being more educational, like a lot of content. They're like, rather progressive as opposed to TikTok in the West. And there is this conspiracy going on. It's like, it's all because of, like, Chinese government pushing that agenda. It's pretty much like the Chinese government is trying to restrict, hours and times that kids spend on the time spent on their screens. Not Douyin, to be precise, on their screens. Whereas it's like they kind of like push Douyin or ByteDance, the parent company, to pretty much leave it open for kids in the States. It's like they're trying to literally like mess up kids in the state on purpose. And there's been people who came out like, this kind of like, conspiracy, it has to stop. It's like you are a government body as well. If you wanted that, you can find a way to do it for your people, similar way, but not, it doesn't have to be the same thing.
Yeah.
And you have the power to do that. So why did it take so long for their government to now bring it to, Congress and try to ban it and regulate it? Why did it take so long? That's like, why did it take so long?
Because the regulation or try to regulate Douyin Douyin started before the COVID. Way before the COVID.
2018, that's what
2018 was before the COVID. And truth be told, even now, like WeChat, for instance, WeChat have a similar algorithm, where you watch stuff. Even with that, it is controlled.
Of course,
you see stuff. You do see stuff.
Yeah.
But most of those stuffs, let's say, like an accident, serious accidents and stuff, you will see it, and they use it to warn the citizens. Yeah. There are so many things on there that you will see for one week, and then it is gone.
Yeah, you can't find.
I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. Douyin or TikTok? Pick one.
Douyin.
Straight up.
Douyin. I don't have the app. I have it on my phone.
But you prefer.
But I don't even go on it. I've not registered. I've not done.
Yeah, I'll come back to asking you why. But I want him to make his choice.
I would also go for the Douyin style.
Okay, let's start with you. Straight up, why? Why would you go for Douyin?
Because I think that sometimes some of the I'm not on any of them, but I've seen people post some of those videos on YouTube from TikTok. Okay. I've seen some videos on TikTok, and I ask myself, what is the point of this? Like, it's not educating anyone. It's only teaching people.
But I think the terminology is expressing themselves. People are just expressing themselves.
And that's where the freedoms comes in. Expressing yourself means doing what you think you want to do. But I think that, yes, like I said, some of the content that I see that is transferred to other apps, I don't really see the point in it personally. So I think that some regulation is necessary.
But why did you make that choice? Douyin over TikTok?
The same with him. I'm not on those apps, but you talk to people who, especially in the West, where they use this Douyin, and they express their disgust on some of the things they see on TikTok and stuff. And I was like, no, in China here, you hardly they will knock at your door. They will knock at your door. It makes me feel safer. You understand? Okay, you can take me as a black guy in China. I wouldn't want to be on Douyin, the Chinese Douyin, for various reasons. But those I know around who are on Douyin, as in the Chinese, although they have their reservations, they prefer that one to the Western one, because they also know news flies, you know. And from afar, looking at those two the same app, but the way it is managed, I prefer the Chinese one over.
Yeah. I would say the same thing because I mean I understand. I think culture, right? Traditions.
Yeah.
You know, the people themselves. I think it plays a big part in how all these apps are generated and regulated, right? Because if you look at, like you said, channels on WeChat, WeChat is a platform that you can use pretty much for every single thing. You can watch
Everything.
videos, pay for your taxi
Payments, your
rides,
mobile wallet, whatever.
and it's easily accessible. So I think with what China did, it's more. I think it's more like modesty, right? China has this, you know, traditional way of doing things that is more Chinese.
Yeah.
You would not understand as an outsider, right? But when they're doing something, it has to be the Chinese way.
Yeah, and they come first.
Exactly.
I
No,
mean,
but my point is, so when you come to Chinese, they're very, very modest. Do you know what I mean? Because even channels, there are a lot of like videos people post to the Western world. It's nothing like bikinis and like, you know, little cleavage, like, you know, the midsection of a lady's breast. They cover it up. You know what I mean? They put this cloud thing, like, or something like a cutie face or a smiley face, but to cover up. Because at the end of the day, kids also consume these kind of like content. So I feel like it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you as an adult want to see stuff like that, there are different apps, there are payment apps, you know, you can subscribe and go see stuff like that. But stuff that you know is pretty much accessible to like everybody. I feel like a little bit of like, you know, censorship is necessary.
Free things are expensive.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like there's a cultural disparity here. I feel like it's the Chinese way of doing things. And the Western world also got their way of doing things based on their freedom of internet, freedom of speech and everything else. So
and sometimes you have to have the ability or the room, just the room to give people space to handle their own thing their way. You understand? Because we all ask about freedom. But yet you want to infringe on somebody's freedom of protecting 8 people. You understand? Because these apps are extremely dangerous.
Yeah, you know, it comes back to parents. How much control or how much responsibility do parents have in decision making? As a parent, coming from a parent.
Your responsibility as a parent is to keep an eye on what content your children watch.
Consume,
consume. So before you buy your child an iPad or a phone or whatever, in a way, and that is where freedom comes, you have to manage. You should know what kind of app is on your phone, your daughter's. And I have a daughter. Every now and then, I just, what are you watching? Hey, or I just, some time ago, I just took off, what do you call it? YouTube from a tablet. Because I realized she was too much into YouTube. You understand? So I deleted everything. I've deleted Douyin. I've deleted YouTube. So she doesn't have anything. The only thing she have is some few games, maybe a couple of spelling games.
Yeah, but isn't that an abuse of your child's right to have access to the internet?
It's my responsibility to teach her the way or show her the way she should grow. Because if I leave her like that and tomorrow she becomes a nuisance in society, all fingers will be pointed at me. And this is the time I have to put some I won't say discipline, but guide her. That's the word, guide. I take that responsibility serious, and I don't care what you think, because at the end of the day, when the shame is coming, it's coming to my family, not yours. So you can sit on the internet and say, oh, you allow your kids to know. Because I've seen when people allow their kids to be extremely free, what comes out of it. And I don't want anything closer like that to my family or any family friend or anything.
So as a parent, what do you think?
Yeah, I think as a parent, you have been through it all, and you see all the extremes out there. So it's actually, that's why you're a parent anyway. It's your responsibility to ensure that your kids have these limits, because at that age, kids cannot decipher. For the most part, they can't decipher between what is good and what is not good for them. When they grow up, they can make their own decisions. But as long as they're still under your care, underaged, we don't want to use the word control, but that's the truth. You have to control what they are allowed to see. And I'm the kind of person who doesn't think that until a certain age, a kid should have their own phone or device controlled by themselves. I mean, whatever they want to do until a certain age, they can always use their parents' phone or tablet or whatever, which means that you can monitor them.
Yeah, without the parent, there's no access
to it.
The screen.
But if before a certain age they already have it, then it's difficult to regulate. They can be in their blanket, you don't know you're sleeping, and they are doing something on their device. So,
yeah, so it's a very I don't know, it's a very controversial conversation. But at the end of the day, I feel like whether we like it or not, these companies also have responsibilities. The government has its own responsibility, right? Because we talked about kids. You as a parent regulating what time and content your kid consume. But then parents are busy now. I mean, it's 2024. You cannot regulate everything your kid sees. Even if they take your phone as a parent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do my homework. You do not know what they're gonna go browse besides doing their homework.
Exactly.
So I feel like we said about Douyin, there should be age restrictions, that there is no doubt about. And then content also, there should be a bit more restriction when it comes to content. But being a parent, you also have some responsibility to play, but it's really tough. Being a parent, it's really tough to really say you're gonna keep your kids off the screen time, because this is 2024. Most kids do homeworks on their tablets, and you will never know. They'll go to school. Some kids bring tablets to school. You don't know what they watch together. They go visit friends over at their homes. You don't know what they watch. So it's a tricky one. All right. We're gonna wrap it up here, right? If you like this content, click on the next one, which we delve into whether we want the government to pretty much help us regulate what our things consume, or as parents, we want to do it solely on our own. All right, DLS out.